Now we're going to talk about how to create a motion graphic in Premiere Pro using the effects that are in Premiere Pro and things called keyframes, which I'll explain in just a moment. But first of all, let's create the project. So we've opened Premiere here. We're going to create a sequence. So we're just going to go click on sequence, and or we can come down here to this little new item button, which is this, looks like a little folded piece of paper. If this is closed up too much, you can't see it, just grab right between the windows here and pull it to the right a little bit till you can see this little folded piece of paper here. And then we're going to say new sequence. And the settings we're going to use here is the third box down is AVC HD. Second one down, AVC Intra. And then we're going to go to the 1080p setting, and which is in this one here. Just flip it down. And the third one down is AVC Intra 100 1080p 30. And we don't need to worry about all that stuff. Just say OK. And it's going to say create one called sequence 3. Yours may say sequence 1 or 2. Just double click on here, and we're going to call this mogrts. Okay, so that created the sequence. Now we need a background for this so we can see what we're doing. So we're just going to again go on that new item button and create a color matte. Okay, and it already matches our 1920 by 1080 sequence. We're going to tell it to be gray, 50% gray, which the settings for black are 000. Obviously, we can't see drop shadows or anything else we do if we do that. So, and we don't want it to be. We don't want it to be 100% white either. So, half of black is 0 and white is 255. So we're going to go halfway of that, about 127. Not 027, 127. 127, 127, with the brightness set to 50%, hue and saturation are both 0. So when we say OK, and I would normally name this something particular, but we're only using this one color matte, so we don't have to call it anything special. And when we bring it down here to the timeline, it's very short, so I'm just going to grab the edge of it and just stretch it out. We'll trim it later as needed. Now let's save our project. That's Control S or Command S. Okay. And now we're going to start creating the graphic. Okay, so let's go to the graphic setup of Premiere. Okay, and this is where you can browse for all the different graphics that you already have stored on your computer. But we're going to go ahead and create one. So let's go to Edit, and we're going to click on, again, there's sort of like a new item button, but this is a new layer. So we're going to click here and say we want text. And then we'll get the move tool and move the text down in here into a nice, good position here. And maybe it's a little large, so let's click here on the size and make it 90. Okay, and then we'll just double click, and I'm going to say type name here. Let's just keep this like this. Okay, and so that's our name, and then we're going to add a background layer. Okay, so let's click here, and we're going to say we want a rectangle, and this rectangle is coming out white, which we don't want because we're going to put it behind the letters, and we can't have it be the same color. So we're going to click on the fill. We're going to bring this down from the top just a little bit to make this sort of orangish sort of color, and let that be here. Now we're going to put the shape and just put it behind here. So we're just going to, it's just like Photoshop, when you put something below, it's behind. So, and then when we switch to the move tool, be careful and do not click this center point, this one with the cross, the plus, the circle with the plus in it. That is the center point of this graphic that we just created, and it changes how effects are applied to it. So we don't want to click that and move that anywhere. Okay, so I'm going to click out inside the box, but not on the center point. And I'm just going to bring it down and put it behind the letters and stretch it out a little bit here, and maybe make it a little bit shorter so it kind of is more even. Maybe nudge it a little left. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now we're going to put a little white bar over here. We're going to do that by just right clicking on this and duplicating it. Okay. And since it duplicated, it's the same orange, so let's click over here and make it a white. Remember, this is the bar behind. Now it's on top, so let's put it behind. And it disappears because it's right behind the other one. So let's grab its position here and just click and drag your mouse to the right, and just so it makes a nice little white bar here. Now we're going to create what's called responsive design here. So I'm going to just I'm going to just trim this up a little bit because it's tremendously large, and then hit the backslash key, which is right above the enter key or return key on a Mac. And I'm going to trim it even more and do the same thing, backslash key, okay? So now this is our graphic, okay? But how are we going to make this work together with responsive design? So when we type, we want the backgrounds to grow as the type or shrink as the type is less. So we're going to click on here, and we're going to tell it that we're going to pin this first background graphic to the name. So we're going to click the type name here, and we're going to click in the middle of this to say we're going to put it there on all sides. And then we're going to click this shape, and we're going to pin it to the other shape. And we're going to also tell it to pin it to all sides of that shape. So now whatever we type in here, so if I double click in here, if I go on the type layer and double click, and I type, so I just type James Reed. If I type my last name, and come back here. So you see the background expands or contracts with whatever I've typed there. So I'm just going to leave it like that for now. Okay, so now we have created our graphic where it's in a good position. We like what we've done with it. We like the colors. We like the font. We're good. Okay, so I'm going to click off of it and then click back on it. And this will give me the chance to change the intro duration. This is the animation in. This is the animation out. So I'm going to click here. And I want to type 1 second. That's on. I just use the numeric keypad, which is 1 and then dot enter. Okay, you don't have to type the 00 if you just type the dot. So it's 1 dot enter. So a 1 second intro duration and a 1 second outro duration. Now it might be hard to see, but if I zoom in just a little bit here, you can see that these light areas on the beginning and end of the graphic, those are the areas that are going to create the animation. Okay, so let's put this right at the beginning of this animation point here, which I'm going to actually, if you see here, it's actually moved to 1 second. Let's say I moved it and it was to 28. I'm just going to hit the right arrow key 3 times and make it be at exactly 1 second. And I'm going to turn on the toggle animation for position. So when I click that, it's going to put a keyframe. So here's a keyframe. Okay, now let me show you what keyframes are. Okay, I'm just going to switch over here to Word. Okay, a keyframe is used in creating an animation and tells an object or a parameter where to be and what to do at a particular point in time. An object is a thing such as a video clip or a graphic. In this case, it's a graphic. A parameter is a variable that can be applied to an object such as a position, scale, opacity, or an effect such as a blur or a wipe. A minimum of 2 keyframes are required to create a change in an object or a parameter. So you use keyframes to tell an object where to be and what to do at a certain point in time. So let's go back and take a look at this, okay? So we're here at 1 second. So at 1 second, okay, we click this button that turned on the animation, and it says, so at 1 second we want it to be here. Now let's take it back to the beginning of the animation, okay? And where do we want it to be at the beginning of the animation? We want it to be off the screen to the left. So we're going to click on this parameter here. Don't click this. That'll turn off the animation again. Click on the numbers and drag your mouse to the left, and you'll see it moves off. And when I let go, it creates another keyframe. So there's the starting keyframe, on as off, and then it'll move in this amount of time, which is 1 second. It'll move onto the screen. See, there we go. Boom. Okay, now it just sits there after that and does nothing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set another keyframe to tell it how long to stay there. So we're going to go to the beginning of this animation parameter, the outro. See the outro duration. Go to the beginning of this, okay, and I'm going to put it exactly at 6 seconds here. I just use the left and right arrow key to do that. And what I'm going to do is I can't use this anymore, so I'm going to come over here to do position. And I'm going to turn on the animation just like I clicked this to turn on the animation here. Turn on the position animation. Okay. So, and I don't want it to go anywhere. I just set a keyframe. Here's the keyframe. that says stay here. So between here and here, from between this keyframe, which you can see up here, and between this keyframe, this amount of time in between them, just sit there and do nothing, okay? So I took one keyframe to say be here, then I took another keyframe to just say stay here this long, and then the last one, you're going to come to the end of this, but you can't set a keyframe where you can't see the graphics. I got to use the left arrow key and come back one. As soon as I just hit one time backwards, and there it is. Now I can set the off position, and it will make a new keyframe. So I'm going to push this off to the left again, just drag those numbers to the left, and see how it created another keyframe. So these keyframes are, let me take it back to the beginning, this is start off the screen, then it's, as I hit play, it's going to come on the screen in 1001, and then it's going to sit there for about another 4 or 5 seconds, and then when it hits this keyframe, it's going to move off in a second. So there we go. So that's how the keyframes work. This is off the screen, on the screen, and this is stay on the screen for this long, and then this is move from here back off the screen again, okay? So now we've created this animation. So let's save the whole project, just Control S or Command S, okay? And now we're going to save this graphic. So we're going to right click, and we're going to say Export to Motion Graphics Template. That's a mogrt. That's the long term for it. Mogrt is a abbreviation of that. We'll give it a name. So the name of this is going to be, I'll just call it my name, low third. And I'm going to put it in my local templates folder. That's fine. We're going to include the thumbnail, which is a representation of what we got. And we're going to click these 3 boxes that warn us if we're missing a font, or warns us if there's an effect that's not involved in Premiere Pro. And this is a separate program that comes with your Creative Cloud subscription. It's called Premiere Rush. And this will warn you if this effect cannot be used in that, mogrt cannot be used inside that program. But I think everything we've done here is fine. So all we got to do is click OK, and then we've done this. Now I've done this before, so there is another one there. The following fonts were not synced, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and let it sync. Okay, and it's doing that. It's syncing those fonts, and then we're exporting the template. Okay, and then next time we want to find the template, okay, let's just take this off of here. Okay, and we go to Browse, and I'm going to call it, I'm just going to type my and enter. And there's my name, lower third. Okay, and if we drag through it, we can see it. I'm just clicking and dragging the mouse to show the animation. I can drag this down and put it on the template, and there it is, and I can use it forever after. Now what's great about responsive graphics in terms of changing the name or whatever we want to do here, we can also change the length of this. If we want, right now, the length of this is, if I take it from the beginning and go to the end, the length of this is 7 seconds, okay? Now if I want it to be 5 seconds, I could just go here, to 5 seconds. Let's just take it to 5. Okay, and I could just trim it with the mouse. And see, it still has these same light areas, so it's still going to take 1 second to come on the screen and sit there, and then 1 second to go off the screen. Boom. So that's the beauty of this responsive design. Also, if we come in here and we can just click on the name and just change it, and just click on the name here and just double click. I double clicked here actually. It says type any name here, and notice how the background adjusts to that. Okay, so this is the beauty of being able to do this, and you will be asked to do this for your some of your projects. Okay, so that's it.